Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast. We're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other.
Aww.
I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
I'm Zach Wright.
And I'm Jordan Smearman. Hi.
Welcome back, everyone.
And we are recording episode 69.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, Lord.
And we are reading a comic that Jordan recommended. Jordan, what is the comic?
All right. Well, we're kind of messing with our no swearing within the first minute, but we decided, or I decided, that we were all going to read Bitch Planet. Yay.
Nice.
Yes. So this comic first kind of released in 2016. It is written by Kelly Sue DeConnick. And I think it's like Valentine DeLandro. He's the artist.
Okay.
They worked, Valentine DeLandro. There it is.
I think it's pronounced Valentine. But
Valentine DeLandro. Thank you. So they worked on this series. It first released in 2016, and then the second volume came out in 2019.
Wow. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it is published through Image Comics. And so
I was not allowed to read this in public.
Why?
what do you mean why?
Why?
I don't think allowed is the correct word. I definitely flipped through it when I borrowed the volumes from the library. I was like, I shouldn't read this in public. But
I tried reading it at work, and I was like, I immediately came to a certain scene, and I was like, nope.
Just a couple titties just scare you away, aren't you, man? Not a true feminist, you two. Come on now.
I don't want to explain that to a news station. I'm sorry.
I just don't want to hold a book that has swear words on the cover in front of kids. So
Wow. Wuss.
I do have some history.
Go ahead, Jordan. What's the history of the comic?
Okay, so a little backstory about Kelly Sue DeConnick. She entered the comics industry by writing photo spreads in dirty magazines. But she also did smaller jobs in between before she got a new job of rewriting Japanese manga comics for a small publisher. And she estimates that she wrote more than 11,000 pages during that 7-year period of the rewriting manga job. But what really put her on the map of the comics world, though, was her work on Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. So, so in 2011, the vice president of animation at Marvel Comics, Steve Wacker, proposed the idea of Carol becoming Captain Marvel, and he offered the job to DeConnick. And then after working on Captain Marvel for 4 years, she decided to leave the series to focus more on her other books. There's one called a mythological Western titled Pretty Deadly, which is actually pretty interesting. And then, of course, what we're talking about today is Bitch Planet.
That's pretty cool that she was the one that made Carol Danvers Captain Marvel. I didn't realize that. That's really cool.
I feel like I've heard of Pretty Deadly, but I can't think of it.
I think we read it, Ryan.
Did we?
I think we did.
Was that the one with the weird art?
No. That was like a
That was Black
DC
Orchid
comic. Yeah. That was Black
Orchid.
Orchid. That wasn't Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly was like a space western.
Okay.
Ryan, she did the first 3 volumes of Fruits Basket.
Oh, wow.
I never heard of Black Cat. Apparently, she did the first 20 volumes of that.
Nice.
Interesting.
Anything else history-wise, Jordan?
So if we want to talk about the artist of the series, Valentine DeLandro, he has worked on various comics, including Marvel Knights 4, X Factor,
Nice.
and then that's pretty much it. He had and of course Bitch Planet. So he's been working on some other different things, but those are the ones that I took notice of.
Cool. So let's go into our overall thoughts on Bitch Planet. Sound good, everyone?
Or do we need to explain
Yes.
what Bitch Planet is?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll do that too. So together, these two, the writer and the artist, created a world where women are treated as criminals for being non-compliant to their male superiors and are sent to a prison on a different planet. So, Bitch Planet, to be exact. That's what the nickname of the planet is for. And it centers around a world where technology is more advanced than ours, but morals are pretty much just the same. The world is ruled by old white men who call themselves the fathers, as they make rules for the society, or rather women, to follow.
I love Catholicism.
If they do not follow the rules,
boy.
they are arrested and sent to a prison on a different planet that is jokingly referred to as Bitch Planet. And then the rest of the series takes place on this planet with various side plots happening back on Earth.
All right,
So.
cool. Overall thoughts, Kevin, go first.
Oh man, okay. Okay, Bitch Planet, I thought it was really good. It does take a couple issues to kind of get into the flow and rhythm of things.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree,
Yeah, but like, and it's a really great concept with a lot of thematic weight to it. Even if the through line doesn't really become visible until the second volume.
Mm-hmm.
But I did really enjoy it. So fingers crossed that it's going to return.
Ryan, your turn.
Yeah, for me, it felt like Handmaid's Tale in space. That was I was like, man, I want to rewatch this now. But yeah, like Kevin said, it took me a second to understand everything that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish there had been like an explainer chapter, or maybe like I know they had like kind of not a crawl, but like a little like, here's how we got to the society type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had like barely any of that. It was kind of like, yeah, here's a planet where all the women get sent, and that's about all the explanation we got.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I wish there was a conclusion, but personally,
Yeah,
I enjoyed.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, like personally, I enjoy like the individual stories
Mm-hmm.
more than the overarching ones. I'll get more into that later, but overall, good read.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think having like an explainer chapter would have been good because it really doesn't treat you like an idiot, like the reader is an idiot. You
Yeah.
have to like infer what's been going on this entire time, which I kind of enjoyed, and also allowed my imagination to just run wild of how the like society was created and like just how like dark and demented it could have been back before they separated and sent people to Bitch Planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, I think maybe like a little bit of explanation, a little bit of expedition dump would have been nice. Even just a couple throwaway
Well, just
lines.
kind of like a little prelude to kind of open
Mm-hmm.
the world.
Well, I'm also trying to figure out what year this is technically supposed to be in, because the ads look like they're from like the 70s, 60s, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, it's kind of like it's like how Fallout kind of like everything kind of stopped developing after like 1940s.
Yeah.
It's kind of I feel like it's kind of like that. It's like everything stopped developing by like the 1950s or 60s, so that there was no like feminist revolution.
yeah.
So it's still like
ads are-
maybe it might still be like technically modern times or like even like 5 or 10 years in the future, but like there's like a certain point where like history did not change for the better.
Yeah, like those ads, right, that are in between each issue are definitely go back to the author's roots of like seeing like kind of ads in dirty magazines. Those are spot on. I like just how like not ironic they are, how hyperbole they are.
Mm-hmm.
They're really kind of like they're clever. Jordan, you want to go next? Or you go next?
Sure. So obviously I chose this series. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite comic series that I've ever read. Obviously it's not perfect, but this comic series has actually helped me in so many ways. It inspired me to write a speech for my advanced public speaking class that I took sophomore year of college. And my professor actually pulled me aside after class and told me that my speech was graduate level and I should consider adding communication studies as a second major. And it turns out it ended up becoming my second degree.
Nice.
I also learned about intersectionality and intersectional feminism through this series. And it just kind of helped me reshape my ideologies to make me feel like a strong, confident woman and be an intersectional feminist. I never thought I would actually owe so much to a comic series, but here I am, forever grateful that I was introduced to it. So like I said, it's not perfect, but I have never actually like felt this passionate about a comic before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
And my quick overall thoughts real fast. I think it's really good commentary on our world. It takes a second to get into, like we've all said. Like the first couple issues are like, what's going on? Trying to keep all the like protagonists in the actual bitch planet jail, like in the cells, like straight. Just trying to figure out which one's the actual like main character is kind of hard to figure out, because at first it's this person. Oh nope, psych, we kill her off. I do like how the ads are very extravagant with their hyperbole, but overall I really enjoyed it. Like I said, everyone else, it's like I'm disheartened there isn't a conclusion to it yet, but I've enjoyed the story so far.
I will say, going on that point of this main character switching, I did like that. And like that, I was not expecting it at all, because they kept going back and forth between that husband trying to get back, and you think it's trying to get back his wife, but
Psych, fake out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Turns out he's a piece of garbage.
They're all a piece of garbage besides the one dad toward the end.
Yeah.
Hashtag not all men.
Oh my god. 69, nice.
Oh no. But yeah. Jordan, this might be a little off topic, but I think from what I've read online, you should probably look for the single issues if you want more on it, because apparently the single issues in the back of them contain a lot more discussion about the themes of the story with the author. So if you want to collect comic books, maybe this one's the good one to start with.
It's only what, 12 issues?
I think so. Yeah, when
10.
I bought mine, it was only just the volumes. I couldn't get the individual issues, but I was hoping when more were released, I was hoping there would actually be more now, but I would be getting the individual issues for sure.
Yeah. Apparently the last evidence I could find of it coming back was back in 2020, saying that, hey, it is coming back. Here's the cover for issue 11. And then nothing's come up since, but I have my theories later in the episode.
Ooh.
When the world needed it most, they vanished.
Honestly, yes.
It'll come back. All right.
Do we want to take a break?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about one thing we liked about Bitch Planet. See you in a bit.
Hey everybody, my name is Jordan, and you've probably heard me on an episode or two, but did you know I also have a baking channel? Bluebell Bake is by the amateur baker for the amateur baker. On the channel, I'll be posting recipes, tips and tricks, and more so we can all learn to better our baking skills. You can find my channel on YouTube at Bluebell Bake, we're currently posting monthly, or on Instagram and TikTok, both at bluebell.bake. Come join our little community where no matter what happens, we keep on baking.
Don't you wish there was a pop culture review site that appealed to cinephiles, both professional and casual? Well, look no further than crpwrites.com. New content such as movie and TV reviews, film essays, and more are released every week by writers who crave for movies like every moviegoer craves for popcorn. CRP Writes is dedicated to making sure no one is wasting time or money where they shouldn't be. After all, you have to be able to buy your popcorn and eat it too. crpwrites.com. Casual reviews with purpose since 2018.
And welcome back to Committed Critics as we continue our talk on Bitch Planet. Specifically, what is one thing we liked about Bitch Planet? Jordan, you want to go first?
Sure. Honestly, it'd probably be easier to talk about what I don't like.
Fair.
There are
Fair
a lot
enough.
of things that I like about this series, of course. But I really like the inclusivity of the series. So there are, and this is kind of what plays into the intersectionality, which if you don't know what that is, it's a term that was created by critical race theorist Kimberly Crenshaw about how different minorities someone can identify as multiple minorities. So think about like a black woman, like that's a race minority and a gender minority, or like a gay man, like that's like a black gay man, like that's a couple ones too. That's what intersectionality is. So I think that's great to see in this series. So there are women of color, LGBTQ plus women, disabled women, women of all shapes and sizes, and I just think it's so important to have that in a series. Because it just shows, all this different representation of women. It's not just, one white woman. Like even in the beginning of the series, we see Marion Collins. She just dies, right? She's a white woman. We think she's going to be the main character because white women are usually the main character, and she's just offed. Like, so then you're kind of like, oh crap, like here we go. Like this is happening. And then we're
white women go bye-bye.
Yes. And we're focusing more on women of color and stuff, which I think is amazing for this series. I also just really like the art style. I like kind of the pop art that we get into and just kind of paying homage, I think, to older comics as well.
Yeah, kind of on that whole point of like changing up, because like, what was it? What's her name? The prison guard. I could never keep her name. Michelle Meredith?
No, I can see it. Jordan's looking it up. Continue, Ryan.
it was that twist with her as well, where she's the prison guard, and all of a sudden it's like she does everything that you would think she's supposed to do, like mess with the prisoners. Doesn't matter if they get hurt. Doesn't matter if they get killed, and then still she ends up like part of the prison. Like
Whitney.
she like, what was it? There's a song I listened to. It was like Prisoner 1 and 2, by I think is it Lupe Fiasco or Vince Staples, one of the two. But basically it was like, you're locked in here with like you're a prisoner here too. You just don't know it. And I'm just like, that kind of felt what it felt like with her character, is that she's here. She technically has power, but she's technically just a prisoner there too. She doesn't get to go home. She doesn't get to see a family. She's just locked in there with other prisoners until she messes up and becomes part of the prison.
It's all a pyramid scheme.
It's a multi-level marketing scheme. The prisoner's name is, or the prison guard is Whitney. Jordan looked at
Whitney. Why did I think it was an M?
There's just a lot of names.
There are a lot of
names.
I did have trouble keeping up with names. The only name I kept up with was Penny. And Mako.
Yep. Cool. All right. What about you, Zach?
I really enjoyed one thing I really liked was the discovery at the end of Eleanor, and how the main character Cam is now thrust into this world, like this almost revolution world, when she's like, I was just trying to get justice, and now I'm here. I'm starting a revolution. The art style is super well done. I love the way the colors look, and how like the colors are still pop, but they're kind of muted to reflect the world.
Right.
And I agree
it's a
with
lot
Jordan.
like the Matt Fraction David Aja Hawkeye run, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah, very similar to that. I enjoy, like, I agree with what Jordan said. I love how inclusive it is, how inclusive it feels. Most importantly, though, is the theme and how this comic, I think the most important thing about this comic is how any woman who reads it can like relate to it in some way or have felt some way.
Yep.
Obviously, like, not to these like really like egregious and hyperbole like standards, but still like, man, I felt this way. Like, the feelings
like
are still
similar to The Handmaid's Tale. It's just like there's the whole thing of like conformity and the patriarchy that we deal with in real life. So.
Right, exactly. The feelings are still valid and are still the same, just on a different level.
Well, that too, and it's like there's still different things throughout the series that women still face today. Like, I mean, even in the first volume, like there's a man just slaps a waitress's butt. Like that still happens. Like men call women sweetheart, like as kind of like a more of a degrading thing. They get catcalled. Like I've been catcalled before. Like it's, I was the first time I was catcalled, I was 14 years old. So it's like, this is not like, this is still a thing that's relevant. So that's also something too. Like, yeah, there's kind of this extravagant, like more extreme side of it, where it's actually like a separate planet that women go to for, not being compliant like they were in the 1950s. But there's also the still kind of more the modern things that happen of how women are losing their power.
Yeah. I just like I like the representation. That's the end of my thoughts.
Cool. All right. Ryan, you want to go next?
Sure. Like, my favorite part about the series is Penny, because I enjoyed her character all the way from her, because like I said, I enjoyed the individual stories. Mako was also an interesting story, but Penny's, watching her grow up, like, and you don't even realize that they're in this new world until the police show up. Because like when it first starts off, I'm like, oh, this is like before this new order came in or whatever. Like, she's happy, she's with her grandma, it's a nice world before everything goes to hell. And then literally like 2 pages later, everything goes to hell, and it's like it's still that same scene. And I was like, oh, this is like, so this is still going on. And then watching as her progression as they try to make her conform to society, and she clearly like says, no, I'm not going to. Especially when they get to that part where they say like, what's your ideal body image? And it's the image that she looks at. It's literally a mirror. Like, it's literally what she is right now. And I'm like, she's comfortable in her own skin. And I'm like, I enjoyed that entire like plot line. I was like, man, I really wish I got to explore more of that. Also, she kicked ass the entire series. Like, no one could mess with her. I enjoy that scene where they're running on the treadmills and Penny just can't keep up, and she starts beating everyone who tries to force her to keep running. And I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted. But yeah, and then I also liked just that interest in that both men or women are very much like have to be careful what they say. Women obviously more so, but there is still like Makoto who's like he has his daughter, so he wants to protect them. But the problem
had a daughter,
yes, and he wants to protect them. Yeah, true. He has two.
Mm-hmm.
He's got one more.
But it's like even like higher ups, like even the daughter of what's his face, the father or whatever. Even she's like, no, this is a terrible world. And meanwhile, like because her mom is very much like, oh yeah, this is perfect. We're still in power. Everything's great. And her daughter's like, no, and just shoots a dude in the head. It's great.
Oh yeah. One thing I liked is the concept of Bitch Planet, just the overall like sci-fi, like and the parallels of it. And how many stories it opens up to further its themes of feminism and how we can provide answers and how we can achieve gender equality. It has the benefit of being exploitive as a comic, meaning that it is very of the times. It can be very responsive very quickly. And it is a shame that it hasn't continued regularly, as it seems like something in real life, something enforces sexism every other day in our world. So like if this comic has continued even like through the pandemic to now, I feel like there's just so much it could talk about, and hopefully it comes back.
I hope so.
Yeah, I agree.
And so to continue on, what is one thing you didn't like about Bitch Planet, Jordan?
Okay, so we've kind of already talked about this, but when you first kind of start the series, it is a lot to take in at once. They throw you at the planet, then they bring you back to Earth, and then they have this one off story about the husband that cheats and then ends up with his mistress. Like they just kind of throw you into the world without with some explanation, but really not a lot. And it definitely can get confusing at times. Like Ryan, I'm the same way. I get so confused with names and I can never remember names. So just kind of like I'd had to go back a couple times and reread things to make sure I understood like, okay, it's this person that this happened to and not this other person. And even though I've actually read the series before, I still struggled with the reread and had to go back and things like that. But another thing too is that I'm also not a fan of how there aren't more volumes out yet or just issues. But I'm interested to hear your theory, Kevin, later. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. It's just that it throws us in. It's a little disorienting, and then really it doesn't start to pick up until the second volume.
Yeah, I agree with Jordan. I was rather lost during the first couple of issues. Like it starts telling these individual character stories, which are really good. I like those individual character stories, but they're all like one after another, and it's more anthology like instead of it being like with an overall focus on a main plot.
Right.
I just wish it was streamlined a bit, so maybe like the overall plot could still be achieved without sacrificing those individual stories, because the individual stories are very powerful, obviously. Maybe just not cut a character, but save a character for later in the series if that was possible. But you really can't for what the story is trying to tell. That's really it. And the paneling is really good. It just sometimes the paneling I kind of got lost on which one I was supposed to read first. And I was like, wait a second, I'm in the wrong spot right here. But that's really all my
happened to me like several times.
Yeah, because there were some issues where like there's the pages on the left and right are mirrored from each other, so like it kind of looks like they're supposed to cross over to the other page, but you're not. The key clue is like if there's a panel that stretches from page 1 to page 2, then you read both pages.
Well, I was reading this on my phone, so like I don't get that effect, and so I'm just over here like, what am I supposed to be reading? I'm confused.
No, yeah, I mean like sometimes. This is definitely one I recommend reading in print for sure because of how the panel layout is. I think it plays into the theme of the story too of how some things parallel. I'll have to read it on the phone to see how it looks like. But there is some confusing parts where you're not sure what to read next. But like this talk about like how it should be more streamlined. I wanted to go to the other direction. I haven't read the triple feature volume yet, which is like basically it's 15 short stories, each set in the same universe, but like it's all from different creative teams. It's all from creative teams about different characters. something tells me I'll enjoy it a lot, because the main thing I dislike about Bitch Planet is the overarching plot. I think the concept lends itself to a series of anthologies set in the same universe, where each short story follows a certain person or groups of persons, and the creators have the overall world progress in the background, kind of like Infinity Train, but even shorter and less connected stories.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
The main plot just confuses me thematically of what the story is trying to say, but the single issue backstories are really great. Because the main story, I mean, spoilers, but we've already kind of covered it. But there's the whole discovery of Eleanor, and it turns out that she used to be the president of the United States, and she was the one that progressed the world. But then, you know, they shut her, they put her down, they locked her up, and then she's been stuck in this prison, and then everyone else is trying to escape this prison, and I'm just like, I'm not sure what the story is trying to say with the prison break, and like how it kind of relates to the real world. And it's just a little confusing, like with how the main story is working. It's not as cohesive as it could be. So like that's why I think a series of short stories would be a lot better for this concept.
I think the prison break, at least to me, is like with anything, if you try to restrict people too much, eventually it's gonna snap. The camel, the straw or whatever, it's gonna snap. It's gonna break. It will be a revolution at some point. We've seen it in several different movies, series, history itself.
Yeah,
so.
Fair enough.
I think you could go one way or the other. Like the middle ground they have right now is still good, obviously, but like if you went one way or the other, like either just the revolution plot, like overarching plot, or like what Kevin's saying, all these individual stories, it could be more effective. But that doesn't take away from the story itself. It doesn't take away from the story itself. It's still a good story. Just it could be maximized to a better effect.
Well, what I'm hoping is like the next issue is like not even like continuing. I want them to give the backstory to Eleanor, because I had no idea who this was until like I saw it was like one blurb where they're like, "You're the president" at one point. I was like, "Wait, what?" Because all we saw was the children of Eleanor Dorn, and all I assumed was that was like the first freedom fighter or something. And no, it was the president. I was like, "Oh, hold up."
Yeah, I thought she was like we had like a Hunger Games situation where like she's the other president of like the 13th district. I was like, "Wait, what's going on here?"
Other president.
That's what I thought. Like I thought she was like a revolutionary fighter or something. Like, okay, she's clearly here. Like, no, she's just locked up. She was the original president. And I was like, I wish you had explained that more before we just introduced her. And I'm like, who?
Yeah, there's a little bit of it would be nice to have that history, because we understand the importance of finding Eleanor, because she is mentioned a couple times, like very briefly, but like you don't understand the weight of finding her and what it means to the world and the characters. But you know, maybe we'll find out if there's more.
Well, they also like it. What was the word I'm looking for? Like her. Nah, never mind.
It would be cool if she was included in the backstories, like everyone like watches her on TV or something, or
they wouldn't have been able to.
Well, yeah, because she was already locked up by then.
If they branded her like as a terrorist or something, that could have been like, oh, this is actually the first person to like fight back. Because I want to know, how the hell did you lock up the president? Like, obviously there's ways.
They hated her because she was a woman. That's what happened. She gave them the free world.
But that's the thing. Like, I need to know how we got to this point.
I'm sure we will.
Because like even like I don't know, I just need a backstory. How the hell did we get to this?
Supposedly the intended structure was supposed to be like a backstory every third issue. Apparently, Orange is the New Black does a similar structure. But then like I guess towards the end, like issue 9 was not a backstory issue, so like I don't know what the plan is. But you know, hopefully it comes back.
Right. That's all I gotta say.
Besides the cliffhanger and the little no explanation, I'm trying to think. Like, honestly, I think we've covered everything.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Final thoughts?
From what I could find, and like I said, this series was last confirmed to come back in 2020, so maybe it won't come back. But since it's distributed through Image Comics, it's more on the creators to bring it back than the publisher themselves. because the way Image Comics is structured, you typically have to front the cost of your own comic book at first, and then if it does well, then Image will pick it up and take the publishing cost themselves.
Oh, okay.
It's very independent, more like a platform, and then you just get a lot of royalties out of it, more than you would with Marvel or DC. So I know the hiatus was intentional. Kelly Sue DeConnick has mentioned like, yeah, we just took a really long hiatus, but don't worry, it's coming back. Here's the cover of issue 11, and that's it. And then there's been so much happening in America alone that Bitch Planet could talk about. So maybe the creators are waiting for the right time to strike back. Just wait to see how everything is affected in our world, and see the ripple effect of it, and figure out a way to talk about it as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe that could be it too. Like you said, there's just so much that has happened. I mean, think of what's been happening in the last like month or so with everything with Roe v. Wade getting like potentially getting overturned, and most likely will get overturned. Like maybe they want to start bringing some of that stuff in, or just really kind of anything like that. Like I think it would be, maybe that's also why they're pausing, is just so they can actually talk about some of the issues that are happening right now as well, or maybe like they're thinking about the best way to
real
incorporate
world
it.
effects. Yeah, see the real world effects too, instead of like just theorizing.
Yeah.
So they don't, they don't want to come off as crazy, because that's a problem with a revolution. Like if you come off as crazy, then no one's gonna believe you or take you seriously. They want to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my final thoughts, I'm just disappointed there's not a conclusion, or at least a stand-in substitution conclusion for the series. I know like when like a series like is like it's not looking good for us guys, they try to like give the readers a type of ending. I know it's probably different.
It was selling well. Like it was
okay.
it was one of the best selling comics when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I don't know what happened. I enjoy how dynamic it is and how it shows the extremes of society that is 100% misogynistic. It kind of reminds me with the hyperbole, like the few good parts of the Boys TV show, how it shows like, oh man, if superheroes were actually alive, what crazy dark shit would they do? It just shows the dark realities of our society through clever and succinct hyperbole, and I really enjoy that.
What about you, Ryan?
I do hope they make a conclusion to this, because I'm like, it felt like there's a stereotypical thing they say by anime. It's like, there's a really good anime, there's only one season, and you just get sad, and you're like, well, darn.
Don't worry, Devil's a part-timer, is getting a second season.
Thank you, Kevin. But yeah, it does also make me want to rewatch Handmaid's Tale, because I'm like, because both of these have made me like angry at men, surprisingly. So I'm just like, all right, I want to like fight something, and so I want to go back and read that, or watch that. But I'm also hoping this gets its own TV series at some point. I don't know how they'll be able to do that, especially because of the naming of it. I don't know if you're allowed to do that for a network or streaming service.
You could on like something like HBO.
HBO,
yeah.
They just say. Okay.
I feel like HBO, AMC, like the more like the stuff that has like the more mature stuff. Like even like Amazon Prime could probably do it.
I mean, yeah, they could. I just don't know if they get to use the name. Are we allowed?
No, I think you could.
I think they could.
Well, then
you could.
Netflix could do it.
Yeah, well then I'd be interested to see how they would handle a TV series of this too, as well, because I feel like we kind of need that TV series in this society right now.
Yeah. Oh, and before you give your final thoughts, Jordan, I just want to say that Kelly Sue DeConnick, I think, is also just really busy.
Yeah.
Because she has been the main consultant for she's been a consultant for a lot of MCU stuff now, especially now with Miss Marvel.
I just checked her Twitter, and she's popping off at Miss Marvel and her new comic Stonehenge or Starhenge.
I think that's a comic that she reviewed. She gave a blurb for on the back. That's written by someone else. But yeah, no, she's just been. It looks like she's been busy, like being part of the MCU and being consultant on all their projects.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if she helped make Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, I mean, you got Miss Marvel. Yeah,
she was a big part of the Captain Marvel production. She even had a cameo in it.
Oh, nice.
She was on the subway train.
Oh, yeah, she was.
We were too focused on Stan Lee.
Right, but Jordan, what's your final thoughts?
So if you have any interest in feminism or even just seeing badass women be badass women, I highly recommend this series. And just like I said at the beginning, I am so thankful this comic series exists. I would love to see a conclusion for it. But even just what's been made so far, I am forever grateful.
All right. And so yeah, thank you for challenging us to read this, Jordan.
I'm glad
really
you guys
enjoyed
liked it. I was a little worried, but I'm glad you guys liked it.
Look, man, if we didn't like it, that's a red flag.
Right.
A little bit.
Fairly certain.
So, Jordan, did we get canceled this episode?
I don't think you guys got canceled.
Oh, yay.
Woo!
Oh, thanks.
Committed Critics lives another day.
I can take the mask off now.
Those fucking women, am I right? I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
So Zach, you are next up in line to choose something for us to watch or read or play.
Well, I'm
or
not choosing-
what have you.
I'm not choosing anything very progressive, probably. Kevin, I'm going to steal your Voodoo account, and we're going to watch the first Indiana Jones.
Damn, that's not progressive at all.
Oh, not even a little bit.
I was like, that's the opposite.
We went backwards.
We're going back in
like
time
Jordan,
like our country is, guys. Hello.
Are you watching the entire trilogy or just the Raiders of the Lost
Just
Ark?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
all
I
right.
don't have to use a Voodoo account. I have a DVD.
And just so the audience knows, Ryan and I have seen it. Jordan, have you seen it?
No, but I've seen the stunt show
Oh.
at Disney World.
I have
Okay,
not
so
seen
Ryan and
Indiana
I-
Jones besides
Yeah,
the Crystal Skull.
I've seen the
Yeah, I've seen
I've seen the
Crystal Skull. That's it.
Jordan. I've seen the animatronic ride at Disney Sea, and it was in Japanese.
Oh boy. But anyway, Zach is picking something he didn't see, so that's gonna be interesting. What a flip! What a way to turn the tables.
I could have picked Crystal
yeah.
Skull just to fuck with you guys.
What?
I said I could have picked the Crystal Skull to fuck with you guys.
But I have already seen that too.
I haven't seen
I
that
know.
one.
Oh,
I
no.
could just make us all
Oh, no.
suffer.
I saw that in the first row in the movie theater.
Me too.
It was terrible.
Zach, if you pick Crystal Skull, then my next pick is going to be the Transformers series.
You gotta pick one,
Oh, boy.
dude. Probably Age of Extinction.
All right,
weirdo.
Transformers 3, the best one.
Oh no.
That's
No!
fair. I can watch the third one. The third one's not bad.
Exactly.
Get the no.
I can watch the first one in Bumblebee.
You watch
Never
the
seen
third one,
Bumblebee
too.
actually.
Bumblebee's cute.
Bumblebee's really good.
It's just okay, but it has Haley Steinfeld, so it works.
Mm-hmm.
Bumblebee's above mid. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Ryan watches Bumblebee for the plot.
The plot.
Exactly.
Very
I
feministic.
mean, that's why I watched
Ryan.
Hawkeye too.
Yeah, same there.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to Committed Critics. If you want to listen to more in our second Patreon portion episode, be sure to check us out on Patreon and give us a little bit of cash for that. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Crits, that's COMMITTEDCRITS. You can follow us on YouTube at Committed Critics, spelled the same there as here everywhere else, and TikTok as well at Committed Critics, all one word. And special thanks to our current patrons, Davey Peppers from Game Mechanics, Ryan Kowalkowski from Ryan Plays Drums, Andy Phillips from Andy Phillips, Jody Wright, and Devin Vonderheide. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye!